Hey guys, so today I want to talk about an outside cut Messi does very often that I realized once I analyzed it. So actually before I analyzed it, actually I was watching this old interview of Messi and he talked a lot about some of his technique and his mindset of his dribbling. I find he did that a lot more before he became a megastar. Um, Maybe for one reason or another, he doesn't really talk about game-specific situations. But it's really helpful to just understand the mindset of Messi, since like dribbling style hasn't really changed over the past number of years. So let's watch this segment of the interview.
Sí. No es el enganche en el mismo lugar, es para atrás y para adelante, como un cambio. Espero que pase y juego con él también. Espero que los movimientos de él. O sea, más que mirar la pelota, lo que mirás son las piernas del rival. Sí. ¿Y no perdés de vista la pelota? Sí, que está ahí. Pero miro los movimientos de él y a meter enganche. Bueno, sí, es más difícil explicar lo que hace.
Okay, so there's two things. So Messi mentioned that he only watches the defender's legs, we'll say. Trying to dribble like Messi, I find that's the case too. I find it helpful to know what kind of move to do. Since it's quick, I don't have too much time to decide. But what's more significant is just before they were talking about it, Messi was talking about waiting for the right moment to do the cut. A lot of times when it seems like when Messi doesn't move, it seems like he does a feint. But here he lots of times he just talks about when to make the cut. So with that in mind, I kind of wanted to just go in with that mindset as I was analyzing Messi. So with cutting in mind, this is one of the clips that kind of looked at to really focus on the cutting rather than the feinting technique. So I really talked about the feint run before. So generally the non-dribbling foot goes towards the middle of his body because it kind of gives the impression that he might do an inside cut like this. But with that in mind, like you see Messi's shoulders kind of tilted over this way, like he might do an inside cut this way. But what I really wanted to point out here is it's kind of hard to see, but I can just freeze the frame when he does it. Is a point of contact. You see it kind of like crosses in to his body, his dribbling foot, the left foot that is, like this. So generally, like a lot of times I find that when he cuts in, like a lot of times it's like towards the middle of the body like this, and then he tries to tilt his shoulders, continue to tilt his shoulders as right before he touches the ball. So kind of gives an impression that as he brings his leg in, like he might be going this way before he touches with the outside of the foot and goes to the other side. I think it's like a similar concept. If you see my video about the flop turn, with the way he touches the ball into space. So say like the ball's here, like, and you have your foot kind of going out this way, and then the last moment you kind of flop your ankle down this way and chop the ball this way, because you don't want to like kind of like make a motion with your leg early, or else the defender could anticipate it. So you really want at the last moment kind of like use your ankle to like go against your leg momentum, and then you can really fool the defender. So I think that's the main principle here. Actually, you'll see it in a bit later in the video that Messi doesn't always have it like exactly in the center of his body, but I think just enough. The most important part is getting that dribbling foot crossed in rather than out here, because generally the natural tendency to turn out here is to kind of brace your like non-dribbling foot out here and then slowly turn onto the ball with the ball like more already like to the outside. So this is a little bit more unnatural, but can really fool the defender and do a quick cut. So here's my attempt at this. So as I mentioned before, trying to do that feint run with my, non-dribbling foot more towards the middle, keeping that shoulder a little drop, and then kind of turning that torso out over this way, and then trying to tilt. Well, I didn't do it this way, but sometimes I can tilt my body onto the other side when I do here, and then here again, try to keep that non-dribbling foot relatively close to the middle of the body. You see here, my shoulders are tilted, and I try to further keep that those shoulders tilted until I touch the ball, and you see that cross like this before I touch the outside of the ball. I also find a lot of times Messi, like a lot of times he hops with his non-dribbling foot here, and then he does the move, as I mentioned, with crossing with his dribbling foot to hit with the outside of his boot. I think it's like a similar mechanic here, like when to do the inside cut or la croqueta. Like a lot of times he'll jump with his non-dribbling foot and land here, and then, you know, depending, say like the defender, like, you know, like maybe shifts over slightly to that side. So instead of touching the outside, you might just, you know, do la croqueta and like shift the ball to this other side, or just do an inside cut but with the same momentum. You know, jumping with a little bit with his dribbling foot and then just landing here and not really hopping too much with his other foot. So I just want to show briefly this clip. So I talked about how like Messi's feint run, like with his non-dribbling foot, he keeps generally in the middle of his body, but I find it's really hard to really like cut it more like sharply over without at least bracing a little bit over to the side. I think what's most important is, like, you see, you really cross like your dribbling foot into the middle of your body and hit to the outside rather than, you know, have the ball there and then like turn onto it. Later you'll see like me realizing that naturally I was doing this, even though it feels like my foot's like more to the center of the body. And additionally, you know, before I would have analyzed, I mentioned like Messi's legs were close together, and then I said he would feint. So this is the feint in a traditional sense. Again, we'll see in the next go of me doing it. It looks actually like a feint, but it isn't a feint in the traditional sense where you extend your leg out and you're really like almost like forcing yourself like to really like put a lot of force onto the side. It's more a step. And you know, I've tried this a bunch of times in training, pickup games, even if once or twice in a match. It's still relatively new, but I find it's a lot more controlled, and you still get the benefits of a feint, like while your shoulders are tilted, if you can help it, and then having your like leg crossed into the center of the body before touching the outside. So like say like you're doing a feint run and your foot's relatively in the middle of the body, you can kind of like just wait for the right moment to make that cut to the outside. So here's a clip of me trying to do this move with a teammate just before a match. So as I'm like dribbling the ball towards him, I was trying to keep in mind all the mechanics and trying to keep that non-dribbling foot close to the center of my body. You see how like my non-dribbling foot kind of like comes out to the side. Like honestly, it felt like it was more like towards the middle. So I think as a result, like maybe that's why like kind of well, it's hard to see here because it's kind of blocked. But you know, my knees are kind of together until the quote-unquote feint. This doesn't feel like a feint in the traditional sense, or putting a lot of force in the ground like this. I find it's more helpful like to do a traditional feint, like I mentioned before, where you like stomp your foot out like this and go to the other side. If you notice that the defender's being really aggressive and trying to like lunge in, and he's getting too close, that feint can like help sell it one way, and then it's a lot easier to move the ball like 90 degrees. I find with this, it's really hard to like, say if we're going this way, move the ball 90 degrees. It's more natural to hit like maybe 45 degrees at most. So that's something to keep in mind. If the defender is getting too close to you, you might want to do like the more conventional feint where you stomp your foot out aggressively to the side, and then you can like move the ball a lot more laterally. But you see here, like what's more important, you see like right there, my leg is kind of crossed into the middle of the body, and I'm trying to keep like shoulders tilted over to the side just before I hit the ball. And then yeah, my teammate's quite good at defending, so that's why I was really satisfied. I could quite beat him. And this is actually a relatively new move at the time. So I also tried this in like pickup games and training, and yeah, it does work very well. Sometimes in tight quarters, like little like toe drag feints that I mentioned, or traditional feints, like I don't really have the angle here, but here it's like not only does it work, but it's a lot more controlled. And I find it's a lot like sometimes they do guess right, so they like come to the side. It's very easy to do it, like followed like by an inside cut. There's not too much to it. It's just like you have a lot more control of the ball. Since you're not going like 90 degrees, but it's more like 45 or a bit shallower, so you can get a quick touch with the ball.